You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
I'm not interested.
When you're standing in a high place, sudden urge to jump. I don't have it.
Set.
And action.
Do we have an accord?
What if I told you that the greatest pirate who ever lived wasn't Blackbeard or Captain Kidd, but a man who stumbled through life like he was dancing to music only he could hear? What if I told you that the same man could outsmart entire navies, escape from impossible situations, and somehow always land on his feet even when everything seemed hopeless? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into why Captain Jack Sparrow isn't just a great pirate. He's the best pirate you've ever seen, and I got 17 minutes of pure evidence to prove it. Let me paint you a picture. It's a hot Caribbean day, and our story begins not with Jack sailing majestically into port, but with him sinking. Yes, sinking. His boat is going down, water rushing over the sides, and any normal person would be panicking. But not Jack Sparrow. This man stands perfectly calm on the mast of his sinking ship, timing his arrival at the dock so perfectly that he steps off just as the mast goes underwater. That's not luck, my friends. That's pure genius wrapped in what looks like complete chaos. You see, this opening scene from the very first Pirates of the Caribbean movie tells us everything we need to know about Jack Sparrow. He doesn't do things the way other people do them. He doesn't follow the rules. He doesn't even follow his own rules most of the time. But somehow, someway, he always ends up exactly where he needs to be. Think about what makes a great pirate. Is it the biggest ship? The most gold? The scariest reputation? Maybe for some pirates, but not for Jack. Jack Sparrow understood something that all the other pirates missed. The best pirate isn't the one who wins every fight or steals the most treasure. The best pirate is the one who survives, who adapts, who turns every impossible situation into an opportunity. Let's talk about survival first, because Jack Sparrow has survived things that would have killed lesser men 10 times over. Remember when he was marooned on that tiny island with nothing but sand and coconut trees? Most people would have given up and waited to die. Not Jack. He escaped by getting the sea turtles drunk and using their shells as boats. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds completely ridiculous. And you're right, it does. But that's exactly the point. Jack Sparrow doesn't think like other people. When everyone else sees a problem, Jack sees a puzzle waiting to be solved. When everyone else sees certain death, Jack sees an interesting challenge. Take the time he was supposed to be executed in Port Royal. The gallows are ready, the crowd is watching, and the executioner is about to drop the rope around his neck. Any normal person would be terrified. Jack? He's studying the architecture, figuring out angles, planning his escape route even as they're reading his death sentence. And then, in one of the most brilliant escape sequences ever filmed, he turns his own execution into a spectacular getaway. He uses the rope meant to hang him as a zip line. He swings from chandeliers like he's in his own personal playground. He doesn't fight his way out with brute force. He dances his way out with style and intelligence. But here's what makes Jack truly special. It's not just that he escapes from these situations. It's how he makes it look easy, almost accidental, like he stumbled into success. When he's sword fighting, he doesn't stand there trading blow for blow like some muscle-bound warrior. He moves like water, flowing around his opponent's attacks, using their own strength against them. He fights dirty when he needs to, honorably when it suits him, and always with a plan that's 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Let's examine his greatest achievement, stealing the Black Pearl. Now, most pirates would gather a crew, get some weapons, maybe wait for the right moment to attack. Not Jack. He walks onto the ship during the day, in broad daylight, when everyone can see him. He doesn't sneak, he doesn't hide. He just strolls on board like he owns a place. And then, through pure charm, wit, and strategic thinking, he convinces the crew to mutiny against their own captain. Think about how incredible that is. Jack didn't just steal a ship. He stole the loyalty of an entire crew without firing a single shot. He turned enemies into allies, transformed a hostile situation into his own personal victory parade. That's not just pirating, that's artistry. And speaking of the Black Pearl, let's talk about Jack's relationship with his ship. Most pirates see their ship as a tool, a way to get from point A to point B while carrying as much stolen treasure as possible. For Jack, the Black Pearl isn't just a ship, it's freedom itself. When he talks about the Pearl, his whole face lights up. You can hear the love in his voice, see the passion in his eyes. He doesn't want the fastest ship or the biggest ship. He wants a ship, the one that represents everything he stands for. This brings us another reason why Jack is the greatest pirate ever, his understanding of what piracy really means. For most pirates, it's about wealth and power. They want to be feared, respected, remembered as the toughest and most brutal. Jack understands that true piracy is about freedom. It's about living life on your own terms, making your own rules, going where you want to go and doing what you want to do. Watch how Jack interacts with other characters throughout the movies. He doesn't try to intimidate people or force them to respect him. Instead, he wins them over with his personality. He makes friends out of enemies, turns rivals into reluctant allies. Even when people are trying to kill him, they often end up liking him despite themselves. Take his relationship with Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. At first, they see him as nothing more than a criminal, a dangerous pirate who can't be trusted. But as they spend time with him, they begin to understand that Jack operates by a different code. He keeps his word when it matters. He protects the people he cares about. He might bend the truth sometimes, but he never breaks his promises to his friends. And let's not forget about Jack's incredible ability to read people. He can size up a person's character, motivations, and weaknesses within minutes of meeting them. He knows exactly what to say and how to say it to get what he needs. When he's negotiating with other pirates, he speaks their language, tough, direct, all business. When he's talking to Navy officers, he becomes charming and eloquent. When he's dealing with supernatural forces, he adapts his approach to match whatever he's facing. This adaptability is perhaps Jack's greatest strength. The Caribbean during the golden age of piracy was a dangerous, unpredictable place. You might encounter Spanish treasure fleets one day, British warships the next, and cursed undead pirates the day after that. Most people would be overwhelmed by such constant change and danger. Jack thrives on it. Remember the cursed crew of the Black Pearl? These weren't ordinary pirates. They were undead monsters who couldn't be killed by conventional weapons. Most people would run screaming in the opposite direction. Jack, he figures out their weakness and uses it against them. He doesn't panic, doesn't give up. He studies the situation, learns the rules of this new game, and then plays it better than anyone else. Or what about Davy Jones and his crew of sea creatures? Here's a supernatural force that's been ruling the ocean for centuries, collecting souls and dragging people down to the depths. Terrifying, right? Not to Jack. He sees Davy Jones as just another player in the game, someone to be outwitted and outmaneuvered. He makes deals with Jones, breaks those deals when it suits him, and somehow manages to stay one step ahead of a creature that commands the very seas themselves. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Jack Sparrow is how he handles failure. Because let's be honest, Jack fails a lot. His plans don't always work out. People betray him. He loses fights, gets captured, ends up in chains more often than any pirate should. But here's the thing about Jack. He never stays down for long. When Jack gets betrayed by his own crew and marooned on a desert island, does he sit there feeling sorry for himself? No. He immediately starts working on his escape plan. When he loses the Black Pearl to Barbossa, does he give up on piracy? No. He spends years planning his comeback. When he's captured by cannibals who want to eat him, does he panic? No. He figures out their culture and uses it to his advantage. This resilience, this ability to bounce back from any setback, is what truly sets Jack apart from other pirates. Lesser men would have been broken by half the things Jack has endured. But Jack treats every failure as a learning experience, every setback as a setup for an even greater comeback. And let's talk about Jack's moral code, because despite what some people might think, Jack does have principles. They might not be conventional principles, but they're his principles, and he sticks to them. Jack doesn't harm innocent people, unless he absolutely has to. He protects children and tries to minimize civilian casualties. He keeps his word to his friends, even when it would be easy to betray them. Yes, Jack is selfish sometimes. Yes, He puts his own survival first in dangerous situations. But when push comes to shove, when the people he cares about are in real danger, Jack always steps up. He risks his life to save Will and Elizabeth multiple times throughout the movies. He gives up his own shot at immortality to help others. He makes the ultimate sacrifice when he faces the Kraken, staying behind to fight the monster so his friends can escape. This complexity is what makes Jack such a compelling character. He's not a perfect hero, but he's not a villain either. He's something more interesting. He's human. He makes mistakes, has flaws, gets scared sometimes. But he also has courage, intelligence, and a strong sense of loyalty to the people who matter to him. Jack's influence on popular culture can't be overstated either. Before Pirates of the Caribbean, most movie pirates were either bloodthirsty villains or cartoonish comic relief. Jack Sparrow showed us that a pirate could be funny without being foolish, dangerous without being evil, clever without being cold. He brought a new depth and complexity to the pirate character that had never been seen before. Johnny Depp's portrayal of Jack was inspired by a combination of rock star Keith Richards and cartoon character Pepe Le Pew, creating something entirely unique. The way Jack moves, talks, and carries himself became instantly iconic. That slightly off-balance walk, those expressive hand gestures, the way he can switch from silly to serious in a heartbeat. It all comes together to create a character who feels completely real despite being larger than life. But beyond the entertainment value, Jack Sparrow represents something deeper. In a world that often demands conformity, Jack refuses to fit into anyone else's mold. He creates his own path, makes his own rules, and lives life entirely on his own terms. He shows us that it's possible to be successful without sacrificing your individuality, to be powerful without being cruel, to be respected without being feared. Jack's adventures take him all across the Caribbean and beyond, from the cursed caves of Isla de Muerta to the edge of the world itself. He faces sea monsters, undead pirates, East India Company officials, other pirate lords, and even death personified. Through it all, he maintains a sense of humor, his clever wit, and his unshakable belief that there's always a way out of any situation if you're smart enough to find it. The way Jack handles supernatural threats is particularly impressive. Most people will be terrified by curses, sea monsters, and otherworldly forces. Jack treats them like any other obstacle to be overcome. He learns their rules, finds their weaknesses, and uses both against them. He's equally comfortable dealing with the mundane world of colonial politics and the magical realm of pirate curses. And let's not forget about Jack's impact on his enemies. Even the people who hate him, who want him dead, often can't help but respect his abilities. Commodore Norrington, despite being Jack's opposite in almost every way, grudgingly admits that Jack is, without doubt, the worst pirate I've ever heard of, to which Jack replies, "But you have heard of me." That exchange perfectly captures Jack's philosophy. He'd rather be notorious than unknown, infamous than ignored. The legacy of Jack Sparrow extends far beyond the movies themselves. He's become a symbol of freedom, creativity, and the refusal to be ordinary. Children dress up as Jack for Halloween. Adults quote his lines in everyday conversation. He's inspired countless other characters in movies, books, and TV shows. He's proven that audiences are hungry for heroes who are complex, flawed, and completely original. So after 17 minutes of examining the evidence, I think we can safely say that Captain Jack Sparrow truly is the best pirate you've ever seen. Not because he's the strongest or the richest or the most feared, but because he understands what piracy is really about. It's about freedom. It's about adventure. It's about refusing to let the world tell you who you should be or how you should live. Jack Sparrow doesn't just sail the seas. He dances across them. He doesn't just survive his adventures. He transforms them into legends. He doesn't just break the rules. He rewrites them entirely. And in doing so, he's shown us all what it means to live life as your own captain, charting your own course through whatever storms may come. If this deep dive into the genius of Captain Jack Sparrow has convinced you that he truly is the greatest pirate of all time, then I've done my job. But I want to hear from you too. What's your favorite Jack Sparrow moment? Which of his escapes impressed you the most? Do you think there's any other pirate who could challenge Jack for the title of greatest ever? Drop your thought in the comments below. I read every single one and love discussing these characters with fellow fans. And if you enjoyed this analysis of why Jack Sparrow is the ultimate pirate, then you're going to love the other character breakdowns I've got coming up. I'm planning deep dives into the greatest movie heroes, the most complex villains, and the characters who changed cinema forever. So make sure to hit that like button if this video entertained you. Share it with any Pirates of the Caribbean fans in your life. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell, so you never miss another adventure into the world of legendary characters. Trust me, the journey is just beginning, and like Captain Jack himself, I've got plenty more surprises in store. Until next time, may your compass always point toward adventure,